Welcome back to the final part of the digital download series, back to basics, getting down to the fundamentals, right? Back to the fundamentals. Today, I'm with Heidi, our manager of our client success team, and super excited to talk with you about GBP, Google Business Profile.
Yeah.
Yes, the most critical digital storefront that we have. So it's true, we save the best for last. If you run a plumbing, HVAC, roofing, electrical, or home services company, your Google Business Profile is absolutely critical to your success online. Would you agree?
Yes, it is probably the most important platform.
Yes. Why?
Well, it's the top organic search on anything. It shows up on MatPack. It pulls into everything. AI, you can connect it with Google Ads, LSA, all of the things.
I couldn't agree more, Heidi. I mean, it is the center of everything that happens with a local service company, just a local company in general, definitely in the home services industry. So as we dig into GBP, I would love to talk about some of why we think it's important, and especially around the AI era, because this whole series we've been talking about how we have to get back to the fundamentals, right? Our fundamentals help us build for the future, and search is changing so fast that if our base is not secure or not suitable for what we want to build on in the future, we're not going to show up in AI mode or anything like that.
Agreed.
Tell me more.
Yeah, I mean, GBP pulls in, it's honestly the top piece in AI. And what we've seen is if you're not updating your profile, you're not keeping your information updated, new photos, new videos, etc., you're not showing up in AI. It's just not happening.
Yeah, I like to say, I think I've said it a few times on this podcast in these series, it's like, you got to play in Google's playground. GBP is the center. It's the centerpiece of the playground. You got to be on it, play some groundies, play some hide and seek, whatever you got to do. What I mean, update your profile, make sure that your callouts are correct, make sure your information is correct, all the things. I was just playing around with it this morning, hot off the press, that I now can connect GBP. I don't know if now is the right word to use because it might have happened before, but I've just noticed it this morning. We can connect GBP and Gemini together. And so where you can at Google Business Profile in Gemini and say, hey, give me a performance report, a competitor analysis, all these things, and give me a couple action items to do this week that I can start to take action on. I mean, Gemini and GBP along with AI overview, I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy to me. It's like changing so fast. And I think one of the things that we should probably center this conversation on is what we need to do for the foundation.
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, what are the core 3 ranking factors that we should be talking about with GBP?
So core 3 are definitely going to be relevance. So completing your profile, keeping all the details updated at all times. Distance, so having that verified address, how close you are to your physical customers, and prominence. So review volume, rating, but I would even throw in there responding to your reviews. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a piece that gets lost a lot.
Yeah,
that is a huge ranking factor.
Yeah, let's dive into each one of these a little bit more in depth. So relevance, how your profile matches search. I think when I was talking with Kyle about NAP, name, address, phone number, this is like the directory to make sure it's accurate. So relevance, making sure that really what that means is that anything online matches across the web, GBP being a very big pillar of that. Talk more about that if you could.
Yeah. So having your name, address, and phone number across the web in general is really important. But because so many things tie into Google, having your name be your legal business name, your address actually a location that you work out of. Google understands tracking phone numbers. And then everything else is like categories, business bio, your hours, all of that has to be updated and consistent across the web for Google to truly understand what you do when you do this.
It's my understanding right now, not right now, this has been the same forever, has been because Google can't possibly go look at humanistically all the different profiles that people have. It's a robot, right? So the robot combs, I was kind of combining those words, scans the web for all of the different pieces online. And if all of those things match, 1 + 1 = 2 to use 001 language. And, and the computer, the robot knows, okay, cool. This is the business. This is where they are. This is what they do.
Yep. Exactly.
Done. So relevance, absolutely super, super important. So the big one there is telling Google exactly what you do.
Yes.
Cool.
And keeping it consistent across all platforms.
Yes, consistency
not just GBP,
key.
But GBP is that powerhouse.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing to kind of zoom in on for a second is when we look at GBP is that powerhouse, AI is throwing like a match on this fire of like, or gasoline on the fire, I guess I should say, of like, okay, an AI can do it so much faster across your website, across your socials, if it's not a walled garden, across anywhere your business is mentioned. Not only where it's mentioned and keywords, but also the intent of that mention.
Yep.
Isn't that interesting?
It is very interesting.
Right? Because it can take the intent of all these reviews, which maybe brings us back to responding to reviews.
Yeah.
I'm going out of order here, but I think it's pertinent, is an AI, when it looks at the response of those of those reviews, and how that business responds with that intent and all those things, if no response is there, it doesn't have anything to go off of.
Yeah, exactly. So getting your reviews is huge. Having as many as you can get from those jobs that you are creating is very important. But honestly, I would say it's more important to make sure that you are responding to every single review, showing Google also that you care about your customers. And it continues to build that trust with the customers that you're going to be working with in the future. Yeah,
I completely agree. And then even, I wouldn't say it's any more important, but responding to every review, that's going to include negative reviews. You're not going to please everyone, right? But I think responding to a negative review can be worth its weight even more than responding to a positive review in your response.
Agreed.
How do you respond to a negative review?
I like to say, be honest. My biggest piece of advice, don't put your business name in your response to your negative review. But be honest, try and get a hold of them, find out what went wrong, but try not to keep it on that review thread. Say, hey, completely understand. I'm so sorry that you weren't satisfied. Let's get in touch and see what we can do. Yeah, exactly. It is not a spot where you can put up your boxing gloves. No. Because everyone's going to make their own assumption to what that response was or what happened there. And so you don't want that to be public, but how you respond to that can turn even a customer that's like considering you of like, oh, if something does go wrong, this is how they respond. Cool. It's a trust factor at that point because we know mistakes happen. We're human. Right? Yeah, you have to show that you care, even to those that maybe weren't super thrilled with you. But also then that gives you the opportunity to flip that customer. Maybe they weren't super thrilled with that first interaction, but then you had a great response to it. They made it right. They can turn around and turn that into a positive review. 100%. And maybe even a referral at that point, right? Where they, oh my gosh, yeah, this happened. It kind of sucked, but they fixed it. We got it figured out and we're moving forward. Yeah, I would definitely recommend them. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and Google can pick up on that, especially with AI now to bring us back, is the intent of those responses, the intent of those reviews. Like intent is such a word that I'm like, yeah, it's no longer about the keyword matching the keyword. It's the page, the content, whatever's online matching the intent of the query. Yeah. Interesting. Yes. So flipping cool. All right. So Heidi, we've talked about relevance. We talked a little bit about prominence. I'd love to dig in on prominence more. Past the reviews, what I'm looking at from a GBP perspective is how we can show we're an authority in our industry and in our community as a business owner. How do you do that on GBP? What's one of the things, the levers we can pull? Photos and videos. Those are huge. So showing your work, showing your, honestly, I would say finalized work. No one wants to see the drain clogged, but showing that you keep it clean, showing that work is done, showing your text smiling. People like to put a face to what is going on. But on top of that, also videos. Videos are becoming bigger in the SERP, and pulling that in that really connects with the customer. It connects more than photos for some people. Yeah, I completely agree. As when you do a search on a local business, right, for electrician or plumber, it doesn't matter. You get a lot of options on Google, right? There's a ton of options to pick from. And if you can go get a video or a photo, look at a photo or video, like that might set your company aside for that consumer, right? I'm going to choose you because I can look and feel how this is going to work. I've had a lot of clients find some good success on like the day in the life of a tech. Like, what does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it mean when you book a job with us, right? Oh, my AC isn't working. This is what's going to happen. We're going to show up. We're going to make sure we're parked okay. We're like, that's the video explaining, here's what to expect when you book a job with us. Yeah. And honestly, doing a ride along with a tech to fully record that in, like, seeing them do that, making sure that you're showing they're cleaning up. For me as a consumer, that's what I look at. When I'm searching, that is one of the first things I look at. Yeah, I don't think you're alone in that, especially when it comes in the world of AI. Like I can comb the options really quickly. I can see the content really quickly. Super, super important. There's one thing you mentioned I'd love to do a quick aside on with you is no one wants to see the drain clogging videos. No. I agree with you on GBP. Like I'm probably not going to post a drain clogging video on GBP, but like socials, like when I look at TikTok or Facebook or something like that, like watching the drain be
pre-cleared or snaked. Oh my gosh, it's so satisfying.
It's a little bit of a guilty pleasure.
It's so satisfying. So I'm like, okay, where do we put that content? Because I think it has value, but like probably not GBP.
Yeah. Well, I would say GBP is a great place to add in those photos and videos. Treat it almost like a social profile, but not quite. You can put those drain clearing videos on socials. The day in the life might be a little hard too on GBP, depending on that length.
Yep.
But it is an option. Definitely build that on your socials and make sure your social is connected to your GBP because Google then also reads that.
Yeah, absolutely great call out. Good call out. Okay, cool. So relevance, prominence. Let's talk a little bit about distance. This one's my favorite because I can't change it, right? My address is my address. That's where it is. Here at camp, we definitely recommend that everyone has the address of where you're working out of, and it is completely legitimate. I don't want to see any like houses or PO boxes. Like that doesn't work. We want it to be legitimate GBP profiles with good addresses.
Correct. You need to have permanent signage. You need to show that you are physically working out of that. Even if it's just a shop where you keep your tools, you don't have to have office people working out of it, but it has to be a legit location.
Yeah. I always look at this one kind of like coupled with LSA. Google's job is to serve the most relevant results for the searcher. At the end of the day, their job is to serve the searcher, serve the consumer, right? And so your job is to tell Google with the utmost accuracy and honesty where you are, what area you serve, and what services you're doing in that area. That's, I think, how you can win. Yes. Right? It's none of this nefarious like, oh, I'm pretending to be over here at someone's house or whatever and trying to get my radius to be a little bit more expanded. Don't do that, right? No. I think you really capitalize where you can. And then when you're big enough to expand into a legitimate location, if it's an office that you have a computer and someone working out of it, then great. It's an address with signage. Awesome.
Yes.
You can expand that radius.
Yeah, but you have to do it right if you're going to have multiple locations.
Completely
you have to get the reviews, get the profile fully up and running. There can be a company that is 20 miles away from you at your house and you're like, well, they have really great reviews. That doesn't seem that far, even though it's not right next to you. Mm-hmm. And that's fine.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think really what we're doing here is we're honestly playing in Google's playground. And when it comes to distance, that's something that we can't change. We have to work within.
Yes.
What other tips and tricks do you have for us?
So service area is going to be big, especially when it comes to distance. You can include up to 20 locations. Cities and counties are definitely ideal. If you service a full county, I definitely suggest highlighting that. Those are going to be big when it comes to distance because that also shows Google the area that you service.
I would add to that with area that we service, hours. Let's talk a little bit about hours as well. I think we want this to also be consistent across the web, right? On our website, our LSAs, our GBP. Some of that might have some variance in there. Can you talk a little bit about best practices we have here at camp for ways to set up your hours on GBP?
Yeah. So for hours, I always suggest having 24/7 if you can have someone truly answer a call and book.
Let's pause on that for, someone that truly sits there and answers the phone, right? Not a robot.
No, maybe AI will eventually get to the point where it can have that meaningful interaction with a customer and can actually book that job. But if you can't, it's not worth showing up 24/7 because it will just make consumers upset.
I think it's such a good point. A lot of our listeners are going to remember we talked about the marriage that is between LSA and GBP, and meaningful interactions in LSA are just as important as meaningful interactions on phone calls with GBP. Yes, because that's where you build trust with your customers.
Yep, and that's why if you're going to show that 24/7, you have to make sure that it is a meaningful interaction. So that is going to be a big piece of it. Google will say 24/7 does help you rank, but it's not going to help you in the long run if you're not able to answer that call and book that job.
I mean, that's such a good little nugget for our listeners right now is, yes, you will rank more, higher, whatever, on 24 hours if your hours are set for 24 hours. Do you want to? Yeah. Is that part of the business goal?
Do you want to be showing up at 3 a.m. when someone has a leaking pipe and
they need someone now that you just can't service?
And you can't answer?
Yeah, it's just going to piss them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do that because that just harms you in the long run. I think that's such a valuable point.
But I'd say the other thing that goes with hours is special hours and holidays.
Oh,
those are going to be huge. So as holidays come around, you can say holiday may affect these hours. Sometimes I would suggest having something in there of, can you answer the phone? If you can, then show that you're open. If you can't, then show that you're closed. You're not going to get hurt from Google by saying that you're closed for a holiday.
Right. Maybe you'll miss out on some leads because people are, but the leads that do come in on that day are going to be similar to the 3 a.m. leads. They want someone now. They're calling on a holiday. I think of just a few years ago, July 4th, I think it was on the 4th, my AC unit went out. It was blowing air, but it wasn't cold. And it was a capacitor. And I was like, I just need someone here now. It's like 99 degrees. It was back when I lived in Colorado. And I was like, I need someone here now. And the people that answered the phone came now. They were open. Like, it was an honest interaction rather than like, oh yeah, we're open, but then I had to book for like the day after. And it's like, no, that doesn't help you. I mean, yeah, it could help fill your call board the next day, but typically that leads to a higher cancellation rate anyways. The question I want to ask is like, do you want to play the short-term game or do you want to play the long-term game? And that's where ours come in.
Yeah.
Cool. So we talked a lot about the 3 pillars. We've got our distance, we've got our relevance, and we've got our prominence, right? Those are super, super important. I love the point about treating GBP as a social channel. The interesting difference about it is it's not as much as an interaction as it is just kind of us posting.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, how consistent should I be on GBP posts?
At least weekly.
You think so?
I would say weekly is the best for GBP posts. It shows that interaction. It shows this new content. Continues to build that trust and relevance with your customers.
Yeah, I completely agree. Would you say if I can't quite post weekly, bi-weekly, but being consistent about it is just as good, less helpful? What are your thoughts on that?
I would say it's not quite as good as weekly, but it does help. And being consistent is definitely going to be, honestly, a big piece of it.
Yeah, agreed. Consistent and quality content.
Yes.
Yeah. I have a question for you that I love to pose. What's the first thing you check when you pull a new client's GBP? Like, what's the very first, you're like, okay, let me go make sure this is accurate. Or what's the first thing you check?
I mean, I would say there's 2 pieces. One, reviews, which I think we've already dove into enough. The other one is going to be their name and their information, just kind of across the board, but their name is going to be the biggest one that I look at. If Google sees one name on your GBP and one name on your website and one name on your social profile, even if they're all connected, it causes confusion. So that is definitely going to be the first thing I look at. And then I start diving into that business bio and those categories. Those continue to help build that profile and can help you rank. I would say that name and reviews are going to be those top pieces, though, that are going to have the biggest impact on your profile.
I love the name piece. We talked about a lot about this with our NAP conversation with Kyle. It's down to like whether I spell out the word street or suite or use the abbreviation. Like, it's down to that level of detail where you want your name to be consistent.
Do you spell out and, or do you use an ampersand?
Yeah, it's down to that level that you need it to be consistent, right?
Yes.
Yeah, agreed. Before we close, I have a tradition on this podcast that you don't know about, and I'm excited to
Perfect.
that I'm excited to throw at you. It's a random, like, off-the-wall digital marketing question that has to kind of do with the topic that we have, but it's completely out of left field, something that you're not really prepped for, and it's something that's like coming. But I'm just interested to hear your thoughts. Some of it's already here. The question I have for you today is, what are your thoughts about AI generated review responses?
I don't care for them.
Really? Tell me more.
I think that what they do is, I think as a consumer, especially as we're seeing AI grow, they can help you get responses and get responses pretty quick, but they don't build that trust. I can look at something and be like, that person wrote this with AI.
Yeah, that's AI.
It doesn't feel like it builds that trust to me. And I get it. AI is huge. I do use it in certain aspects. It's great in certain aspects. But when you're trying to build that relationship, it kind of takes that human element out of it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's such a good point. It's interesting, the balance between scalability and that. I love the reviewer responses that can call out the job, right? Hey, Sally, I'm super glad that we were able to help you with your AC unit. Call us anytime. Like, whatever the response is, but it has a little bit of reference to like what was happened on that job. Not keyword stuffing by any means, but like honest interaction of what happened. I love that, right? Yeah. I think that's such a valuable piece, and it's authentic.
It is. And honestly, I'll share a little story of I left a review for a company that did work at my house. their response mentioned how good our dog was during the work. And like,
that.
I didn't even mention that in my review, but they were like, our techs loved working with your dog. They were so sweet. And I will always think back to that. I'm like, that was so authentic.
That. Yes.
It really grew not only me wanting to continue working with them, but as a consumer, if I saw that, I'd be like, they're real. Those are people.
That's a real company. That's a real person. I also love that opportunity for companies to set themselves apart on the why I should pick you. There's so many options out there now. Like everyone and their brother starting a plumbing company, which is great. Like I love it, but also as a consumer, which one do I pick? I'm going to start leaning into my values. I'm a dog person. This is Camp's a dog office. We love our dogs. We love our pets, our animals. So if I see something like that as a consumer that loves dogs, I might pick them too.
Yeah.
Right? You have to tell me after the show who you use because I'll add them to my list. No, I think that's great. I love that response. I'm going to ask you one off the wall follow-up question about AI. What about AI generated photo and video for GBP?
I think it's good if you know the parameters around what you can and can't do. Especially with one of the laws that just passed recently in New York, we expect to see it across the board.
Yeah.
Where you have to, if you're using a person, you have to say that this is an AI generated person. If you know the parameters around it and you can kind of take different pieces of what you do and make yourself stand out, it works. If you're going to go and make everything animated and it doesn't feel real, maybe it'll catch the attention of a couple people, but I don't think it'll hold that long-term factor.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, 100%. Time and a place for it.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Heidi, thank you for your time. Here at Camp, having a fully optimized GBP is absolutely paramount. If you are running a local service business of any sort, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, roofing, garage doors, it doesn't matter. Having a GBP is absolutely like job number one, to choose a very overused pun.
It's a non-negotiable.
100% non-negotiable. If you want to rank in the local map pack, if you want to start showing up in AI overviews or AI mode within Google, that's what they're pulling from. That's where search is heading. This is the foundation of information Google and all of the AIs are going to pull from.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. Heidi, thank you. I appreciate it. If Brent is our LSA whisperer, you are definitely our GBP whisperer. Thanks for being on the show, Heidi.
Thanks, of course. Happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, listeners, we have a bunch of new content coming in. Big things happening at Camp here with the help of Google. So stay tuned for that. We have a couple other CTV things that are happening with Microsoft. We're super excited about what's coming in the future. So we'll see you on the next one.